This is going to be a terrific game. Right out of the ground.
He's done it.
It's a beautiful shot.
And there it is.
The atmosphere here is electric. That'll certainly get him going.
You make me feel so alive.
You know, as a South African, it's the one nation that your nation really wants to beat.
Australia won the toss and they were batting first.
See, that's a terrific shot. He has been in really good form, Mitchell Marsh. He's showing his promise now.
He's going to pop it up in the air. It's 5 wickets for Aiden Markram.
5 for Mitch Starc. Outstanding bowling from the big quick. South Africa are all out for 162.
For them to stay in the game, they've got to bowl Australia out.
Elgar's up, and the fingers up as well. What a wicket for Dean Elgar.
South Africa require 417 to win the game.
Could that be out? You wouldn't believe it.
It's looking a little bit bleak for South Africa right now. Oh, that's beautifully played through the covers. Lovely shot from Markram.
That's a great shot. It really is.
That's a knock that Aiden Markram can be enormously proud of.
100 for Markram and a 50 for de Kock. Shining lights for South Africa.
Oh, that's a catch, that's out, that's a breakthrough. Aiden Markram goes.
Lights are starting to crank. Bowled him. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. That is so good from Mitchell Starc.
So South Africa will come back tomorrow along with the Australians for day 5 of this test match with 1 wicket to go.
Big news this morning.
Obviously Quinton got quite personal and provoked an emotional response from Davey.
I think it's unnecessary, I think it's silly, I think it detracts from the game.
No doubt we'll be hearing more about that and maybe 1 or 2 other things, I think, that have happened throughout this test match.
A little bit of niggle going on out there, isn't it?
Oh, that's worth a shout. And up goes the finger, so there it is. Australia have won this first test match by 118 runs. A really good performance by Australia.
By any standards, it's been a dramatic week. David Warner arrives at St George's Park this morning along with the Australian side. Warner, of course, the subject of much conversation and controversy, along with Quinton de Kock in these past few days. A busy time for the match referee, Jeff Crow. Now, too, the South Africans arriving, a smiling Dean Elgar, big Mornay, and an awful lot for South Africa to do. They don't have to win here if they're to save the series, but they have to win here if they're to be competitive, make Australia understand that they're on their level, and indeed if they're to go on to win the series, you feel that they have to be somewhere near their best at Port Elizabeth. Good day, everybody, and welcome to the Sunfoil Test match, the second of 4 matches, the first 4-match series since 1969-70 between these two fine sides. My goodness me, it's been a dramatic week, and Michael Holding and Kepler Vessels are alongside me. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Marcus.
Can you believe all this nonsense that's been going on?
It sounds as if we are back at kindergarten school, apparently.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, and it's time to move on, play some cricket, get that behind them. I hope that they'll understand that that's not what's expected of them, and that the match referee has put the message across clearly, and that they'll move on and play some proper cricket.
Yeah, well, Jeff said, didn't he, a couple of days ago, I want to get to Thursday night with everything done and dusted and ready to play on Friday. It's rather sad that he even has to think like that, isn't it?
Well, it is, and also the umpires need to take control of the match much earlier. If they see anything unfolding that they may think will get out of hand, they've got to step in and they've got to control it. So hopefully from today, as Mikey said, all that stuff will be behind it, but also that there'll be a firm hand from the umpires in the middle to make sure that this stuff doesn't happen again.
The interesting game of cricket in Durban. Let's have a reminder through the match summary of how it panned out. The Australians won the toss, batted first, made 351. Then South Africa replied with only 162. That was really because of Nathan Lyon initially, and then a brilliant burst from Mitchell Starc, the ball reverse swinging 5 for 34. South Africa played better in their second innings, having bowled out Australia for 227. I thought that showed a lot of common sense and courage to stay involved in the game. And there was just a chance when Aiden Markram and Quinton de Kock were going that South Africa might pull off the miracle and make 417. It wasn't to be. 298 all out, Australia winning by 118. And there was a very good innings by Mitchell Marsh, who's taken a long time to establish himself as a test match cricketer from such early promise.
Yeah, it was a good knock by him. I think I said in the last test match that the first time that I saw him bat, I wasn't impressed that he was going to be a very good test cricketer. He wasn't going to make a lot of runs at test match level. We know he has more than just his batting to contribute, but as a batsman, he certainly has taken quite a few strides as far as I'm concerned. He looked good at the crease. He looked assured. It wasn't as if he was out there slugging. We know he can hit the ball well, but he was playing a very sensible knock and playing in each ball on its merit and just slowly building his score.
Yeah, you can just see him matured after those 200s that he got against England in the Ashes series. I think what was really impressive was the way he constructed his innings under pressure. It was a sort of surface where the ball wasn't really coming onto the bat. Couldn't play that free-flowing type of innings that he sometimes plays. So he had to work hard for his runs, and his powers of concentration was really good. And I think from Australia's point of view, they looked long and hard to find someone at number 6 who can bat well enough to be a number 6 and then bowl a few overs. Yes. And it looks like now they found him.
Yes, he wasn't the only young player to impress. In fact, Aiden Markram played one exceptional innings in a run chase in the 4th innings. Oh, this was a brilliant 100.
Fantastic knock, and I'm glad to see that he's really started to get some runs, because the first time I saw him bat, I thought to myself he certainly has the ability to perform at this level. They were a bit sceptical, they were a bit hesitant to put him in the final 11, South Africa that is, because I thought he should have been playing since England, but finally he has now been into the team, got some runs against some lower rung teams, but he has shown that he can get runs against good bowlers as well, top of the line bowlers.
It's a bit of a benchmark for any young player to make 100 against the Australians, isn't it?
Well, it is. I think you always want to compare yourself against the best of your era, and Australia and India, they're probably the best of this era, sometimes England in England, but to get runs against Australia under pressure in a losing cause was a great effort. I never like comparing players, but for me he's got a little bit of a Greg Chappell look about him. Stands up straight, plays on the leg side well, hits through the offside straight, and powers of concentration good. I never like doing that, but he just reminds me of the way Greg used to play.
We'll send him a postcard. We'll say Kepler, not a man given to overstatements, has given you the Greg Chappell tick of approval. A wonderful compliment to Aiden Markram. You've seen in the modern era of the game all the great fast bowlers, but when you bowl fast and swing the ball late, like Mitchell Starc did, it's a blow-away moment, and it was this spell, in a way, that sort of sealed the Test match at quite an early stage for the Australians.
I think that shows South Africa that the front order top batsmen have to get runs, because against Mitchell Starc, the lower order guys have absolutely no chance. They've got to be very, very lucky. He bowls at good pace, he swings the ball, he's accurate. Low order men cannot cope with it. The front order men, they made the adjustment from the first innings to the second, and they looked a lot better. I don't think whatever adjustment the lower order make, that they're going to be very successful.
Yeah, I'm with Mikey there. I thought Abe de Villiers was excellent in the first innings, but I think it's up to him, Faf du Plessis, Hashim Amla, to compile some runs, and then the other runs that come along with that would be not bonus runs, but they'd be an addition to getting a big score. But the 3 of them, they have to contribute.
What psychological damage does a spell of fast reverse swing that blows you away do to a side?
I think it'll have a lot of psychological damage, as Mikey said, with the tail enders, because I think that they won't have options. They won't know which way to turn, how they go about it. I think the top order will understand what they have to do. They've done it before. They've made runs against Mitchell Starc in the past, so they'll know exactly what they have to do. So I think from their point of view, it wouldn't be something that they haven't seen before, so I don't think there'll be real damage there. But the tail enders, I agree.
Have no chance.
They've got no chance.
No. It's a great skill.
Yeah. It is a great skill. Now, not many people have been able to do it. You know, people talk about the bias on the ball. Yes, but give that same ball to a lot of other bowlers, and what happens? Yeah. They cannot reproduce what he has done. He is a fantastic bowler with the old ball.
Okay, very good. We were interested in watching Kagiso Rabada because he too swung the ball and late and bowled impressively.
Yeah, he's a good bowler and he will develop. He'll get better and better. I think he just needs to gain a bit more control. We saw on quite a few occasions he was trying that big in-ducker, the big late swinging in-ducker, end up down the leg side. You don't see that from Mitchell Starc. He's a lot older, of course, Mitchell Starc. He has been around a lot longer. And one would hope that Rabada will develop that skill and be with that control later on.
OK, well, Kagiso was with Mike Haseman just a few minutes ago. Such an intelligent guy.
KG, thanks for your time. Righto, we've all talked about, read about, seen everything about the last 4 days. I mean, what's your view of what's been going on during that period?
Yeah, it's been very interesting. It's the first time that I've ever been involved in something like that. At the end of the day, we had to play cricket and we must forget about all of that. Yeah, there was a whole lot of talk, huge controversy. But yeah, we're focusing on the cricket.
You're an emotional bowler, we know that. I guess things like that can fire you up even more.
Well, yes. I think some things like that can fire you up. I think it has fired us up. So, like I said, we don't want to get too carried away. We're here to play cricket and we're focusing on the cricket.
Bit of extra attention maybe to David Warner?
Well, maybe the crowd will do that. We're not interested in doing that. We're here to play cricket.
Right, we've seen how aggressive you can be with the ball in your hand. You're 1 point away from obviously maybe getting suspended. Does that curb your aggression?
Yeah, I guess I've learned some lessons in the past. And it's important that I don't repeat the same mistakes. And just growing as a person, I think you just learn to deal with different situations, and I think I'm learning to do that. So it's all good.
And let's just also add from our point of view, a lot of us have said we think you've been harshly treated by a couple of those. But back to this test match, I mean, this is a seriously important test.
Yes, it is. We 1-0 down, but it's not the end of the world. 3 test matches to go. So we're looking to start off well in this one and to win and carry on the momentum with us.
What can we expect to be different from South Africa in this test?
Well, we're looking to start well. Unfortunately, we didn't start well with the bat. I think that's the only thing that let us down. Otherwise, I thought our bowling was magnificent, our fielding was magnificent. But we also did take a lot of positives in the last innings from Quinny, from Aiden, the way he played, from Tienis, the way he played. The young guys really stepping up, and that's something great for the future. So, yeah, you can expect us to be buzzing this test match and to be giving it our all.
And finally, I mean, you've developed a marvellous art of that reverse swing, importantly also both ways. You expect to get more involved with that later on in this test match?
Yes, definitely. I always feel there's always room for improvement. I don't feel that I was at my best in the last test match. So hopefully now I can get closer and closer to peaking. And yes, reverse swing is important. It's a skill that our bowlers can bowl with and can reverse it both ways. We bowled well in Durban. We'll be looking to improve on that now in this test match. So we're excited.
Okay, thanks for your time. Good luck for the test.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's a good thinker about cricket, and I think that he learns quickly, which is so important. We've got a little bit of rain here. It's still scheduled to go underway on time. That's at 10 o'clock. The toss will be at 9:30. We're pretty confident of that happening. They did say that between 9 and 9:30 we get a little rain shower, but nothing worse than that. And from 10 o'clock it should be clear. So now the ground staff have got to work quickly to get that covered. I'm pretty confident. I don't know enough about the weather locally to be sure, but pretty confident. OK, we said that Kagiso had played an important part in this match, but not quite as important a part as Mitchell Starc played. So here's Mitchell with BJ just a while ago.
Well, Mitch, thanks for talking to us. Just go back to the first test match. How'd you pull up after that?
Yeah, all good. It's obviously not too much work on the 5th day, which was nice. Quick travel over here, quick prep day, and then day off for the quicks yesterday and a few others. So it's good to go. Hopefully the sun comes out.
Must have been pretty happy on that first test match. Your rhythm coming through, obviously the ball reversing, but hitting the track hard.
Yeah, look, I probably said it the other day, it was maybe some work to be done with the new ball on these flatter, slower wickets. Not so much swing, as we saw probably in the prep over in Joburg before the first test. But, yeah, if we get our lengths right with the new ball, hopefully a couple of early wickets on the drier wickets when the reverse comes into play. I think we've got 3 quicks who are pretty skilled at the reversing ball, and a spinner who's the best in Australia and one of the best in the world.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, leading into this test match, I know you wouldn't have had much time to look at the wicket today, but yesterday, what did you think of it?
Wasn't it yesterday?
Optional training?
Yeah. Day before looked like I had a fair bit of grass on it, and looked like a used wicket, so it'd be interesting. I haven't had a look yet today, but whether there's a bit more grass taken off it, whether it's a bit bare as well. So sounds like it's quite dry, like the square's quite dry. Obviously a bit of moisture around with a bit of drizzle, but we'll see how it plays out.
If it doesn't reverse, I should say, with a new ball, let's say you bowl today, what will you be thinking about?
I think we probably spoke about just hitting our areas and staying patient with the new ball if it's not swinging. Probably not giving them too many freebies on the cover drive for their openers, and then waiting for that ball to reverse, getting it in some good areas until then. And I think on the dry wickets, as we've seen through the first test, and then in the prep over here, it's quite dry and abrasive, so I'm sure it'll come into play fairly early, and when that does, the three quicks will go to work.
All right. Now, was there any distraction in how the team sort of cope with the David and the Quinton sort of scenario?
No, not really. There's been a bit more sickness rather than that stuff, so a few boys are going down. But yeah, all that's played out now. It's onto the second test, and we'll move on with the cricket.
All right, mate. Good luck today.
Thanks, Vic.
Smile on his face now, but he can sure have a snarl on his face when he's rocketed in there and bowling at 150 clicks and swinging the ball. Reverse swing is such a new thing in cricket, and yet it's not a new thing in cricket. I know that your old sparring partner Andy Roberts said, well, I think we reverse swung the ball, but no one called it reverse in those days.
Well, those days the television coverage was not as it is now. The coverage that you get now with the slow motion replay, the close-up of the ball, shows you exactly where the seam is, where the shine is. It's been going on a long time, but just no one saw it, so no one talked about it.
Did you come across it?
Yeah, we did come across it, and particularly when Wasim and Waka was starting to really do it, and in the early days, Imran Khan, which you remember well.
Sussex,
exactly,
Imran,
Sussex, Imran Khan, so that was when it was starting, but then it was still pretty obvious because no one worried about scratching the ball because they didn't know about it, and they were just doing it. So it was going. So that was the time of Safraz. I mean, we all remember those days when he played for Northants and Imran for Sussex. So I think that's where it sort of really gained momentum. And then from that point onwards, some teams and some bowlers were just able to do it better than others.
Okay. We're going to turn our attention to Mike Haseman because, like all of these things, there's plenty of cricket to analyse, and there were a few things that came out of the Durban test that Hazy's got his eye on.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. You guys are on the reverse swing, so I'm going to talk about reverse swing. I'm going to get the forensics out as well and just find out exactly how late it goes in one particular delivery that Mitchell Starc bowled to try and work out how hard it is for guys to face Mitchell Starc when he's bowling at 140 plus. Right, so here's a look at reverse swing for starters. Some examples from Mitchell Starc and also from Rabada. But what I want to just show you initially is just remember that Mitchell Starc only goes one way. Rabada has the ability, and it's unique, to bowl at that sort of pace. He has the ability to go both ways. So that's where he might have a bit of an ace up his sleeve for this test match. Right, let's get into this and just have a look at some examples, some terrific examples of reverse swing. This is Starc going the one way, of course, going away from the batsman all the time, getting the next, that one coming into the left-handers. It's high-quality stuff. It's just amazing. And the fact that he's going so late. So here's the blue streams of Rabada, and you can see that he's going both ways. So that's really important, the fact that he can go both ways at 140 k's per hour plus, and that really is quite unique that someone like Rabada at his age can do that. Right, so let's have a look at a graph now. And this is a graph of Mitchell Starc, and I can sort of analyse this a little bit, just to show you that this didn't actually make much play. The new ball, which is the blue ones, didn't make much play. This is the reverse swing. Really good reverse swing there. We're looking at the swing degrees, by the way, and we're looking at the overs down here. So you can see that it really got going quite early, the reverse swing, and Mitchell Starc identified that. Bang, he was in. That's the first innings. Let's have a look at the second innings as well to see what difference Mitchell Starc made in the second innings. And you'll see there, again, let's just pause that and I'll just analyse it a bit more. So the blue, here we go, this is the blue, this is the new ball, that's the new ball, and then suddenly they've identified the ball as reversing. So both times, so what have we got? We've got under 30 overs in the first innings. We've got about 34 overs around that in the second innings, where they suddenly thought, OK, this reverse swing is something that we can work with and get going with. So there you go. So there's Mitchell Starc. This is only Starc firing up and really getting it right. And, of course, he picked up those 5 for 34 in the first innings as well. So that was brilliant stuff from Mitchell Starc. Right, so there's the Starc graph. Let's have a look at the Rabada graph and do a comparison. So here's Rabada in the first innings. And Rabada knows exactly when it's starting to go. He really wants to get involved at this time. Again, we've got the new ball here. Not too much swing. Again, you got the degrees of swing. Not too much swing with the new ball. And then you got the reverse happening there. A short little spell with the new ball and back with reverse again. So he was eager to get reverse going in Perth. Let's keep going. and see what he did in the second innings to see how that graph looked. Again, you'll note around about the 30-over mark, they suddenly realised it was going. They'll work on it. They're very good, the South Africans, to get it right. And bang, straight away he was in here and into the game also in the second dig. But they were playing catch-up cricket, so that was a bit of a problem for them. Now, I want to point out that we've had a little bit of rain here today, so reverse swing will be put back a little bit. The ball's going to get a bit wet probably, and that's going to be a bit of an issue. But we will see reverse swing later on this Test match. So this is just what we're going to see later on. So again, we need to look at this and just look at the actions of these two bowlers and see how Starc has a bit of an upper hand here because of his release and his angle. Rabada's a little bit strong, a little bit upright. If he can sling it a bit, that helps things a lot. We'll keep going and have a look from the other side as well. Obviously, Starc has been devastating from around the wicket, so let's have a look at this again. So you've got Rabada getting nice and close, but again, you'll note that he's nice and upright. And Starc has got that sling again, so that helps him, and he gets that reverse swing going down here. Okay, right. So let's now go and just have a look at something which I think is really interesting. This is where I've got the forensics out to analyse where this reverse swing happens, how difficult it is for the batsman to face someone like Mitchell Starc. Right, so we've got Starc bowling. He's bowling a ball to Rabada, and he's bowling a ball to Dean Elgar. This is Elgar and Rabada down the other end. Let's have a look. And I want you to look at, in fact, I'm just going to stop it there. I want you to look at these little bits here as well. See what's going on here. So there's 141.9, 142 k's per hour, this delivery. And you can see that it's the new ball, which is the one he's trying to get away, go away from Dean Elgar, and the old ball he's getting into Rabada. I've put a line in there as well, because I want you to have a look at it as a reference point. You'll note that the new ball will go there, and of course the old ball will swing in quite sharply and late. But again, let's just point out this. This is when it starts to go to the batsman. Paste that out wherever you might be sitting now. Let's call it 8 metres. That's the distance from the batsman that it started to go, started to reverse to Rabada from Starc. So it's only 8 metres. That's how late it happens. So let's have a look. As it comes in now, you'll see that this ball, the old ball, comes in sharply. There's a reference line, and you can see how far it comes in. From 8 metres from the batsman, that's nothing. 8 metres from the batsman, you see the other one's just going away a little bit. And the distance from the movement from that line, the white line to the stumps, is about 1/3 of a metre, as you can see there. So that's really good stuff. So why am I concentrating on reverse swing? Why am I really focusing on that? I'll tell you why. Because last time Australia played against South Africa, this is what this bloke did. Dale Steyn was simply magnificent. This is the spell that won the game, actually. He was brilliant. And have a look at some of these. Look how fired up he is. Have a look at some of these reverse swing deliveries. I mean, this was just magnificent at high pace. And it won the game right here. And this little patch from Dale Steyn. And everyone is talking about reverse swing after the Durban Test match as well. With the work here from Steyn. Look at that. Magnificent work. And, of course, Dale Steyn has certainly passed on a few secrets to Rabada and one or two others in the South African change room. You see the dark side, the shinier side, going in towards the batsman. But that's how good Dale Steyn is. It was magnificent to watch. And I can rest assured, well, you can rest assured there's going to be a couple of bowlers, Steyn again, and also Rabada in the South African lineup, who are going to be so keen to do this as well and get this going later on in this test. So there you go. I hope I've just decoded reverse swing just a little bit. We know how much it's 8 metres from the batsman. That's how late it's going at high pace for Mitchell Starc. That's the important thing to take on, and it goes about 1/3 of a metre as well. So that's quite interesting, I think. Right, Mark, back to you.
Hazy, that is brilliant. That is gold medal stuff from Mike Hazeman. Hey, Alan Border, Graham Smith with me now. Good was that?
Very impressive, very impressive. Just the explanation of that reverse swing, incredible.
You were playing in that game, leading South Africa amidst an enormous amount happening in your life, it must have been a great relief to have Dale come to the fore and win it for you.
Yeah, it was. Coming back to PE, I haven't been back here since, actually. My daughter got burnt with hot water in that test match. Was in and out of hospital for the next two and decided to pull the plug after all that stress. But 150 for noughts, and to have a bowler like a Dale Steyn or a Mitchell Starc, if you can get the ball moving through the air and you can throw it to them and they can change and open the game up, it's just such an asset to have. And Dale was that guy for us that day.
I've got to tell you that I was at the toss, right, about to do the toss, and I've got the Australian captain here, but no South African captain. The very last minute, Graham comes running down these stairs and out to the middle, and he gets to us and he's handed the team sheet and he looks at it and he goes, and he disappears again and he trots off like this, you see. And he goes to talk to Vernon Philander, who's about 20 metres away. And it's like a serious chat. This isn't your average little conversation. This is a bit of this going on. And then he comes back and he goes, excuse me. And he wipes out a name and he writes in Philander and hands it back to Michael Clark. He said, that's our team. What was the story behind that?
Oh, well, when I finished warm-up and went into the change room, Vernon was playing. When I came out, he wasn't playing. So I wasn't having any of that. I thought... no, let me go and have a word with him and find out how serious this injury was, and it was fine to play, and so I just made the change.
And you won here, and then in the end, in a fantastic Test match in Cape Town, Australia won the game and won the series, and then you decided to retire. How close had you been to that decision in the build-up to this series and during it?
I think there was a few things. I've been captaining South Africa for 11 years, and I think that one had taken its toll. I think maybe in many ways my daughter getting burnt with hot water and being in the hospital all morning, then trying to play Test cricket and the rest of the day, just mentally and emotionally, I was just. I think in many ways I probably shouldn't have played in Cape Town. I should have just missed that Test match because of what was going on, and probably would have had a bit more time to consider and think about things. But you don't look back. I'm proud of what happened in my career. Retired at 33, and
so not too early. You haven't looked back and thought, I tell you what, that got to me. I'd love to have had another year or two.
I think I know I could have played. I think 6 months later I felt really good again. Mentally felt ready to play. But almost the game moves on and moves forward, and. I think for me, in many ways, it was the right decision to take on, and I've enjoyed life since. And here I am working with you legends.
And loving it, I know. Loving it. Yeah. What age were you when you retired?
Well, I was 38, and I'd done 10 years of captaincy, so I do understand the pressures the captaincy can put on you. So, but 38, I probably played a year too long rather than a year too soon, if I really am honest. But I wanted to play against South Africa, which that opportunity came up for the 93-94 season in Australia, then a tour over here, which I'd wanted to experience. So I kept playing, for another year or so.
Okay. What about these two captains? It's been an extraordinary week for them, having to deal with issues that are outside the playing of the game and drifting into the morals of life. This is an important day for them in many ways, isn't it, to regroup?
I'm sure they're relieved that the cricket is about to start. I mean, AB now, as I said earlier in Blitz, as we're chatting last night, I mean, it's put Test cricket on the front pages of all the newspapers around the world in many ways, and whether that's good marketing for the game or not, but it's made it relevant, and I think there'll be a lot of eyes on this Test match worldwide. So I think hopefully the crickets over the next few days will match up to what's gone on off the field. I think both captains have sort of walked a slippery slope of PR and trying to protect their teammates and put their best foot forward. It's never an easy one to handle, but I think that's most important that what happens over the next few days now for both of them.
Let me just, before I come to Alan, give you a quick update on the situation here. We had another little rain shower, and so the toss has been delayed. We're yet to hear exactly when it'll happen, but we suspect it isn't far away, actually. So they've only got that one plastic sheet to get off, and I see the match referee, Jeff Crow, and Michael Holding are now making their way to the middle, and Mikey does the toss for us. So it could be that the umpires and match officials in general have decided that they need to get things going. So that's good. Before we hear from the toss, a word on Steve Smith and David Warner. Let's have a quick look at the footage that we've all been shown during this last week. It's sort of... it's pretty hard to stomach, isn't it? The way that the game has come out of this sort of fracas. It can't be good, Alan.
It's not good. It's not a good look for the game. There's no doubt about that. I think both teams were a bit overhyped for that first Test match. It was a really good build-up to the game, and the aggression that was shown in the game, it was not, it was just over the top a little bit. So I just think hopefully now that they've got that out of the system, the players, and they can just get on with playing the game. And look, I think both sides have just got, they want to play that upbeat sort of game of cricket, but that's out of the system now, and we can just get on with playing the game that we all know that these two sides can play.
It's a difficult thing. You've come off recent battles with Australia. Would you say that in your time in cricket, the intensity of the competition between the two sides had got more difficult to deal with?
No, I wouldn't say so. I think it's always been a tough contest and it's always been played hard. I think so much this week has been debated about the line. Where do you cross the line? And I think, whenever it becomes personal, I think that for me is when, it crosses the boundaries of where it needs to be. I mean, I was a guy that played the game hard, took the game on, loved the contest, and when you overcome those tough challenges and you can perform and you win as a team away from home in Australia or England or India or whatever, it's one of the most rewarding feelings you get as a player. But I think what happened in the last week is there's been a lot of personal. I think also it's sometimes difficult to manage all the individuals in your environment. They're adults. A lot of them have played cricket for a long time. They know what they shouldn't and should be doing. So it's also up to them to take responsibility for their behaviour.
Okay, the news is that the toss will happen at 9:40 and play will get underway at 10 o'clock as planned. So hang on in there with us. What about the role of the coaches? What about the people outside the team, the administrators? Should they be more involved in getting their players in hand?
Yeah, look, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because you don't want to stop that natural way of playing the game. I think the Australians play best when they are playing aggressively. But, there is a line that we talk about. Where is that line? That's always sometimes
that's the problem,
a bit hazy.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Define what's personal, define what's reasonable banter.
Yeah.
I mean, in the end, you're trying to respect cricket, aren't you? And the people who play cricket and promote it.
I see no reason in discussing a man's appearance or his family or...
other than to put him off.
Yeah, but I mean, for me it was about contests. Often, it's about the pressure of the situation. Maybe a guy's been out of form and you're using that pressure against him, but you don't have to. And also the contest of the moment, ultimately it's a battle between the batter and the bowler in that moment. And I loved that contest when the bowler was at me and you were up in there fighting and hopefully got the better of him as a batter. Then, I loved that whole situation, but it never crossed the line. I knew it was a moment, a heat of battle, and we're up against each other, and that's what the crowd loves, and that's what makes it so good to watch on TV.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. So all that personal stuff, the abusive type language that gets used occasionally, that's not on, and that's where the coaches and that support staff and administrators have got to be very strong in those sort of areas and make sure that it's just it's not part of the game.
We need greater strength in leadership, don't we? I mean, there need to be standards set and parameters agreed that are within what we perceive as a spirit. It's very difficult to define the spirit, but certainly there is a spirit that we'd all like cricket to be played within, and respect has to drive it. The battle of these captains is an interesting one, of course. Faf had a difficult game, I thought. I mean, he hasn't had much cricket since his injury. Steve Smith is marching just past us now, actually out for the toss, so he's excited and ready to go. Who's come out of this last week in a better position? I suppose it's Smith, is it, because he won the test?
Yeah, when you're winning, you're always in the better position. I think Duplessis would have had a lot of thinking to do. Obviously, on his personal game, you're right, he hasn't had a lot of cricket. He didn't get many runs in Durban, so he's nursing that what was a broken finger. So I think for him, it's also important that personally he put a lot of time into his game this week and mentally is ready to perform, because he's such a key cog in that batting lineup. That's the one thing as a leader that you've got to make sure you take care of also. And then it would have been just managing players. I mean, there's a lot going on. How's de Kock coping with all the pressure around the media, the expectation, how the other guys, and getting people focused that ultimately they've got to play good cricket. All the stuff in the papers and what the public do and the chirps from the crowd and whatever's going to happen actually means nothing once the first ball is bowled here today. It's going to be your skills.
You can see the joy in the faces of the South Africans when they get Steve Smith out. He's had such a fantastic couple of years. Since he became captain, he averages 74 with the bat. Faf du Plessis, having been in good nick, then that period out with the with the bus finger, and suddenly you get good reverse swing, and the game gets hard, doesn't it?
It does. If you're sort of thinking about your finger and try and protect as much of that as you can, but when you're playing against a quality opposition, you know, all those little problems do raise their ugly heads at times. And he got a couple of cracking deliveries, let's be fair. It was one of those test matches, I mean, you might get an inside edge on that and it goes down to fine leg and you're away. But that's just a great delivery, and that's what happens sometimes when you're not in the best of form.
And do you think, I mean, you asked a good question there, I think, Graham. I mean, how would someone like Quinton de Kock be now? How will he approach this game?
Well, I was thinking last night, we were having our glass of wine or beer there, AB, but I was thinking about David Warner and Quinton de Kock. I mean, you know, how they're going to respond, how emotionally, you know, what mental state does it put them? Are they more motivated? Do they want to put in a big performance to show everyone? Or does it take the sting out of them anyway, create fear? And it's going to be interesting to watch that dynamic throughout this test match and how it affects the personality of the cricket. I mean, Quinton de Kock has had a terrible season so far and found a lot of form in Durban. Played beautifully in the second innings, had his touch game, had his power game, and such an important cog for South Africa. If South Africa can get, you know, some partnerships up the top, he's just an ideal Adam Gilchrist type player that can walk in when bowlers are tired and just take you apart. So he will want to build on this form and the confidence, and I think maybe that'll help him going into this game.
I think if I was Quinton de Kock, both teams are staying in the same hotel, I would have... both of them, I would have tried to sort something out, you know, or go and see David Warner and just
bop one on the chin there.
Well, have a chat face to face.
But is that real? Does that happen anymore?
I think
the players don't even have a beer together anymore.
Well, I think after the series, I think the players could still get together.
This isn't after a series.
No, I understand that, but in this circumstance, you definitely just seek the other player out and say, look, I probably overstepped, I said the wrong thing, or, you know, I was a bit upset with the way you were talking to me. You know, shake hands, and you don't have to be the best of mates from there on, but just knock it on the head straight away.
And if you had been running the Australian side, you would have suggested to David Warner that he approach Quinton de Kock as well?
I think that would have been, would take the fire out of the situation straight away. You know, it's
but he didn't do that. He's been doing interviews basically bad-mouthing Quinton de Kock throughout the week. And,
very difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, I would go the other way.
Honestly, I don't think the fire's gone. I think it's still very much bubbling under the surface. I think the crowd and the public are going to add to it now because it's out there. There seems a lot of interest in this series. So
you reckon a few more logs on it, do you? And it's just going to...
A few more logs on the fire, but I'm just hoping that the cricket... and South Africa, you know, ultimately, that's what I'm saying. They're 1-0 down in the series. That stuff's all huff and puff, and it actually means nothing. You want to play a hard contest. They want to get into the series, and they want to level the series. So for them, if they focus too much on that rubbish, it's going to cost them.
These wicket keepers are the pivotal men, aren't they? They're behind the stumps. They're the ones who can give it the most lip. They're both good batsmen. Quinton de Kock may be more of an attacking player than Tim Paine, but Tim Paine's no shrinking violet in these exchanges, and a very fine cricketer, isn't he?
No, he's come into that side. I mean, it was a bit of an interesting selection, wasn't it, back in Australia? The selectors got a lot of flack about that one, but you know, he's done a fantastic job for me. He's a real senior guy now, and as you say, he's a strong character, and that's what Australians want out of their keepers. And he does a very good job, you know, technically behind the stumps. He leads the fielding situation, you know, with the chirp, etc., and has done a very good job with the bat. So he's become a real pivotal guy in this team.
All right.
The other thing I'll say about de Kock is I often don't even think he realises where he is half the time. You know, you listen to him in an interview, he's just sort of dopey and around. He probably doesn't even know what's gone on this week. He probably doesn't even know. Probably just get on with it. Someone will tell him
afterwards. Probably a good way to
be.
We've got 2.5 minutes till the toss. What we're going to do quickly is feature the two spinners. Quite a battle between Nathan Lyon and Keshav Maharaj.
Yeah, Maharaj, just start with him. I think in particular had a really good test match in Durban. You know, day one held everything together. Got 5 wickets in the first and 4 in the second. You know, I think he was the most important cog for Faf du Plessis and has been such an asset for this South African team for a long period of time. Lyon, great Ashes, looks confident, looks on top of his game. But it'll be interesting to see how he responds after. Wow.
Gee, we just need to get cleaned up.
Well, Rabada's bowling quickly.
Yeah.
So I think Otis Gibson on the mitts there is...
Well, it's funny till you hit.
Yeah. But anyway, so I think Lyon didn't get any wickets in the second innings in Durban when he was expected to dominate the game. So how he responds to that is going to be interesting. I thought South Africa actually played him really well.
That's the big wicket. I thought that early break of Dean Elgar was massive, actually, and then straight after it, the catch at short leg, Hashim Amla. Lan is very good when he senses a little opportunity.
Oh, yeah. If he gets that wicket early, it's amazing how he then gets into a really good, frame of mind, and he's bowling, and the ball comes out of the hand really well. So he gets that early wicket, he's away, but... yeah, the second innings, South Africa played him very well.
And a quick look at Keshav Maharaj too, who bowled impressively. Nice flight, nice control.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the most important thing about both these spinners is they like to control the game. So if the batters don't have the ability to rotate the strike or tick over the score, and they can bowl ball after ball after ball at you, that's when they get you under pressure.
Yeah.
I think what South Africa did second innings well to Lion is they were able to tick things over, not get stuck. And as you say, not allow them to get an early wicket. But Maharaj is so key for du Plessis.
I was very impressed with his ball.
Great pictures out in the middle here, because there's this sort of sense of chaos with this delay. Everybody wants the toss to be made quickly, particularly the players, who will then start 20 minutes later. Match referees ready out there, and most of the Aussies are now leaving the field. So we're very close to the toss here. It's the first morning of the second Sunfoil Test match, St George's Park, Port Elizabeth. Remember, the Australians won the first Test by 118 runs. There's Faf du Plessis. This is the moment when they swap teams, the two captains. They just have a quiet word with the match referee, who's already set some ground rules down. I think there was some serious chats over the last couple of days, with Jeff Crow determined to get everybody back on track. Right, we're ready to go with the toss, and out there in the middle, as you can see, is Michael Holding.
Yes, thank you very much, Mark. We are ready. Zach has finally arrived, so we can now have the toss. So I've got both captains, Steve Smith for Australia, Faf du Plessis, South Africa, both dressed so similarly. Don't know what the fight is all about. And we have got Jeff Crow, the match referee. I think you have the coin, Faf?
Heads.
Heads is the call.
Heads it is, Australia.
That was quick, Steve. Saw you inspecting the pitch, both ends on the side. What did you learn from all that?
Not too sure. There's a little bit of grass in it, so I might do a little bit this morning, but if we can get through that, then hopefully we can post a big first innings total. And we know this ground, reverse swing and spin, plays a big part, so the back end of the game is important as well.
With all the grass and with a bit of moisture around, didn't put any doubts in your mind about spin at all?
No, we're always going to play a spinner. Nathan's got a terrific record. He bowled really well here last time, so hopefully the wicket takes a bit of spin as well.
South Africa have not been beating you in their own country. You won the first Test match. That should have lifted your team even more.
Yeah, it was a nice start. We played some really good cricket, so hopefully we can keep it up this week and keep the pressure on.
No changes in your team, I presume?
Same team for us.
OK, Steve, good luck.
Cheers.
Faf, a lot of grass on the surface. What would you have done?
Yeah, really, really tough one to call this, Mikey.
To lose the toss there.
I was extremely happy to lose the toss. I was very, very 50-50, to be honest with you. I think at the end of the day, we probably would have gone with bowling first. Just this first hour, I think it's going to move around a bit. It will be a bit on the slow side. But with the conditions, the forecast over the next 5 days, I don't think it's going to get too hot. So I don't think it will deteriorate that much. So that's why I was probably leading towards bowling, but I was going to wait until that last moment.
The pitch, the outfield, hasn't influenced Stephen Smith's team selection. What about your team?
Yeah, we've got one change. We're bringing in Lungingiri, specifically for these conditions. He's a guy that moves the ball around a little bit more, so we're excited to see what he's got. And also Australia hasn't played him before, so watch out for him. Time to win a Test match, time to get back on even keel. Yeah, we're really excited for this match. We know there's a lot of talk in our dressing room what we want to try and improve, and also off the field. But we know that cricket's got to do the talking, and we're looking forward to getting it right.
Okay, Faf, good luck.
Thank you, Mikey.
Well, Australia has won the toss, and they are batting first.
I tell you what, Faf wasn't going to give too much away. He said, I think I'd have bowled, but I was going to leave the decision until the very last minute. AB, there's that Australian side. No surprise that it's unchanged.
Unchanged for, what's this, 7 Test matches in a row? Yeah, quite extraordinary keeping that group together, particularly the bowling group, who've been outstanding. Yeah, we know what they all bring to the table. Probably need some more runs out of Khawaja in particular, probably Sean Marsh. Mitchell Marsh had a great first test match. Yeah, just a very good, solid team, and good that they can keep that group together.
Big ask to have to bat first in these conditions. It feels like a bowling morning here, Graham. Here are the South Africans.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're making a decision really over 5 days, aren't you, and how you think you can best win the test match. It's going to be tough up front, and we get to see how Warner handles the pressure straight away.
Yes.
Yeah, the South Africans, as we wait for the lineup to come up...
You can talk about the South Africans over the Australian faces, can't you?
Oh, I know them well enough. I think there's been the one change for South Africa, if I heard right. Lungi Ngidi into the lineup in place of Morne Morkel. He's a big man. As we see there, yes, the one change. Ngidi in for Morkel. I think South Africa have obviously gone for a guy that is a young guy. He bowled really well in the series against India. I guess the only stress about Ngidi is that he's young and he's a fairly bulky, strong guy, and whether he can manage the workload of a test match as the third seamer. He played as the fourth seamer in that Indian series, so that's going to be an interesting thing to watch. South Africa are desperate for runs from that top order. Algo, Amla, Markram played beautifully, but Amla, the key, has been out of form. Hazelwood's had the best of him, and it's an important test match for him. And if South Africa can score runs, they've got the bowling attack to win the game.
OK, well, the toss then won by Steve Smith, and the news here is that the Australians will bat first. We're going to take a very short break. We'll be back with Sean Pollock and Kepler Wessels in just a moment.
We having tea or coffee?
Hey guys, Super Brew weekend. What did you guys go with? Lions or Blues?
Blues.
Cameron?
Gotta be Blues, mate.
How could you possibly back the Blues? They're on the high valve and they haven't even won a game yet, mate.
Relax. Relax,
Okay, David. It's only Super Brew, mate. Calm down, David. They got star quality.
Yeah, their centres will get through any defence.
Hey. You're completely off your rocker, mate. Jeepers, Faffy.
Stop it.
You're looking more ripped than AB's jeans in a night out in Pretoria, mate. What's going on there? Listen.
We're good, mate. We're good. Mate, we're good. Okay, we're cool. Mate,
we're cool. How you doing, mate? Cool.
You can't always pick your battles, but you can choose to back the Proteas and the Lions against the Aussies and the Blues on another action-packed SuperSport weekend.